Welcome to Skilled Nation. We've heard the comments. We read. We know how to read. People tell us the trades, they don't pay enough, or that housing still feels out of reach, or that your body is going to be all completely worn out before retirement, and that too many workers just feel they're, just another cog in the machine, another number. And honestly, those concerns absolutely deserve to be part of the conversation. But maybe, just maybe, we're asking the wrong question. Instead of asking whether skilled trades can still provide a good life, maybe we should be asking what systems and organizations help skilled workers build lasting careers. So today's guest is Jacob Evanson, Business Manager of Boilermakers Local 627, an organization that's training apprentices, collecting workers with careers, and helping build some of America's biggest industrial projects.
Welcome to Skilled Nation, where hard work meets real opportunity. From welding and electrical to HVAC and the trades that keep this country running, this is where skills turn into careers. Skilled Nation is sponsored by Tulsa Welding School. It's a way of life, a badge of honor.
Today we're talking about the future of skilled work, the challenges workers face, and why you don't have to go it alone. And we have the perfect guy to talk about that here, Jacob Evanson. Thanks for joining Skilled Nation.
You're welcome.
So I love that we got a little bit of a reality check, and we're going to get into all of that. But before we do, let's find out about you. What was your path? You don't just come out of the womb being a guy working at the Boilermakers Local 627. What happened?
Oh, gosh, my path, joining the Boilermakers. So I'm actually a third-generation Boilermaker right here in Arizona. My grandpa moved in the 1960s here to Tucson. He was a welder.
From where? Where were the roots?
From Oregon, from the shipyards up in Oregon. And he was a welder, learned how to weld up there during the war because he had polio in his leg, so he couldn't go to the war. And so he learned how to weld, working on the ships, doing the best he could. And then that kind of wrapped up. And in the 60s, he moved to Tucson to work on the Hughes missile sites. So he was working on tank building, working on the welding on the Hughes missile sites when they were being built down there. So my dad and uncles all moved to Tucson, high school in Tucson. Then in the late 70s, there was a boom in copper industry, a boom in the power plant industry here in Arizona. We had almost 1,700 members in the Boilermakers Union around that time. So my dad and uncles all part of the work in the industry, working Boilermakers, and going through high school, I learned a little bit of welding, FFA, 4-H, stuff like that, working on the ranches down in Benson, Arizona is where I grew up. And so enjoying that kind of work and stuff, and then went to college at Pima Community College in Tucson. Took some welding classes. I was living with my grandpa while he was there in Tucson, and the welding classes I was doing really well in. And my grandpa goes, well, if you're doing well in the classes, then you need to join the Boilermakers Union. And I was like, well, you guys are the experts. My dad was already currently a Boilermaker, uncle's Boilermakers, like I said. And so in 2005, I got into the Boilermakers Union Apprenticeship program. Traveled the state working on coal-fired power plants here in Arizona. They were massive at that time. Lots of people working in the mid-2000s, doing environmental modernization projects on the coal-fired power plants. Moved around Farmington, went and worked at the refineries in California a little bit. Became a really good tube welder, mirror welder. I was welding in tubes on the boilers, doing a lot of repair tubes on the boilers, and then the business manager, secretary, treasurer of the local here in Arizona that we were a part of, 627, he asked me to come in and be an apprenticeship instructor. And so I trained apprentices from 2010 to 2013. And in 2013, he retired. I ran for business manager and been business manager ever since. So It's been a pretty good start.
So, yeah. So, I mean, this kind of, I just took some classes, was pretty good at it, and was told to join the Boilermakers. It's become an entire career path.
Yes. Yeah, it has.
I mean, did it start out when you get the first job? Are you thinking, it's just a job? This is going to get me to the next thing. When does it flip and you go, wait a minute, this is my career path?
I knew right away it wasn't a dead end job. Like I knew, like I was working my way up with the contractors. I was going to try to work into project management, superintendent, certified welding inspector. Just there, it's not a dead end. Once you get through the apprenticeship program, you can keep moving up, getting pay raises, and it's a great career, throughout the time. So,
and I always got to ask, just because it was surprising to me the first time I had it explained. Because when I hear Boilermaker, I think of a shot of whiskey and a beer. All right, so I know that's not what the union, what the local does. Much of.
Well, 100%. That drink was named after the Boilermakers. Yeah, we are kind of known for that a little bit. I mean, we did break during our convention at the Mirage Hotel. I think it was like 2001. I think we broke the alcohol sales for the convention that year. Yeah, for that weekly out. But yeah, the Boilermakers, they are named after the shot in the beer. It is part of our history.
So the shot in the beer is named after y'all because
yes.
of
just
ordering
history
it up
being,
so
being
often.
being in the railroads, bringing in everything
But
else.
the task of being a Boilermaker, what is that career?
That career it's really welding, rigging, mechanic work. We are going into heavy industrial manufacturing, heavy industrial construction. We have not much in commercial. We don't have much in residential either. I mean, we are in the big factories that you see. So main things, pulp and paper, refineries, power plants, power industry, anything with heavy lifts, heavy welding. We're into those. I mean, chemical plants, tank work, that type of things is what we fit into.
So when I'm driving down the highway and I see that mess of just tubes on a refinery plant, that's Boilermaker work.
That's all towers at a refinery. Yeah, that all fits within the Boilermaker stuff. We're removing some of the massive picks, massive cranes, big critical lifts that we're in there doing the planning for that and then performing those.
And I got to ask, we're hearing from people who are listening to the podcast, people who watch it on YouTube. They write comments, and we listen to those comments. And listen, we're not shy about it. On the Skilled Nation podcast, we are trying to make people aware of careers and opportunities in the skilled trades. But people are pushing back and saying maybe we're being too rosy about it. So are you ready to have a real conversation about what people are saying we're missing?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. One of the things we get pushback on is, but, we talk a great career path, great money, opportunities for mentorship, right? People are saying, man, it's hard on your body, though. It could just wear you down physically. What do you say to that?
I mean, it's true. I mean, it can wear you down. I mean, but it's like I said, it's tough. We got to be smart. You got to wear your personal protective equipment. You got to wear your stuff that you need to have to keep yourself healthy. And part of it is we do have we have good health care. We have good systems to be able to take care of us and be right with it.
Okay, so you bring up something with healthcare. I mean, so you're talking about healthcare benefits, insurance and all that.
Yep.
So you get a good 40-hour-a-week job, you're going to get benefits with that. So that's one thing, is you'll have the chance to take care of yourself.
That's one thing about the Boilermakers is we don't typically have too many just 40-hour weeks.
Okay.
It's a difficult lifestyle. Definitely takes somebody that wants to do the lifestyle. So it's a lot of traveling. We got to travel a lot for work.
Okay.
It's not a 40-hour-a-week job just here at the house. You work 9 to 5 and be home. Like it's
because you got to go to the projects, right?
You got to go to the projects. They're the second you hire on into a project, you're working yourself out of a job. You're going to eventually be laid off. They ramp up, need 200 to 300 Boilermakers, for 2 to 3 months, and then they ramp down and complete the project, and you move to the next one. So there's a lot of travel that goes on with it. There's a lot of moving that goes along with it.
Is there a lot of mental stress about getting the next job? Because I used to work a lot of freelance, And there's really a mental toll that it takes when you're more, man, am I going to get this one ends in 2 weeks and I don't have anything lined up yet. Am I going to get the next one?
Yeah, and I mean, you got to be financially stable. You got to think financially. You can't just go buy that brand new $60,000, $70,000 pickup truck and have an $800 a month payment and only have 20 grand in the bank and be like, okay, now I'm on unemployment for a few months. What could happen? Like you got to be financially mindful and say, well, I'm going to save my money while I'm working, go buy that truck cash when you get the money to buy it. And then like I said, traveling before, it was a lot of, our members buy travel trailers and they find ways to save money when they get on the road. And so they're not spending all their money at hotel rooms and stuff like that. They're actually trying to save a little bit in other areas.
Okay. We are talking to Jacob Evanson. We're talking about life of Boilermaker, but also just in the skilled trade, some of the challenges that come up. When people talk about, Jacob, the physical challenges, the physical toll, how much of that is true today and how much of that is a carryover from when people didn't take the PPE as seriously or when people weren't taking as good a care of their bodies? I mean, are we stuck in thinking about the physical demands in a previous era? Is that modernized at all?
It definitely has. There's better respirators now. More people are aware of wearing their respirators when they're working in dirtier areas with fly ash, with other types of dust out on the job sites. They are aware of wearing their knee pads, wearing their harnesses instead of 100% tie off when you're up above heights. I mean, the OSHA standards have definitely helped out, bringing those to the job sites and making people work safelier. And they are, and it definitely helps our culture and has moved us to less injuries on the job site, but has also helped along with the physicalities for the person.
And I'm glad you said culture because, I mean, let's be real. I mean, there was a time on a work site, if you wanted to wear all your PPE, you could get some side eye especially from some of the old timers, right? Where you just kind of rub some dirt on it, walk it off, right? And so like you wanted to put D-pads on, they're like, I don't bother with that, right?
Yep.
How much has that culture on the job site changed where people are like, no, you got to take care of yourself?
It's definitely changed because, when I came in, you saw a lot of the old timers, they were crippled up. Some of them could barely walk around, and you're like, oh man. And so you do think about that. I need to wear my knee pads when I'm working on the ground and stuff. Get the proper, I've even went all the way to getting a yoga mat and working off of a yoga mat because it's, just helps your knees when you're down on the floor or whatever working. So
the culture is not going to look at you and judge you for
it's getting better, I think, a lot better.
Good. Well, good. It ought to. I can't talk because I think it's important and it's getting surfaced and there's less, I think, it's just becoming more culturally acceptable to also talk about mental health, right? And when you look at the trades, there is a higher suicide rate than the general population. So I think it's important to talk mental health. What are the supports for that aspect of how the career can take a toll?
A lot of our unions in our industries, each union has our own thing, but they have came out with the 988 system for construction workers to be able to call for mental health. It does affect construction workers. Could you imagine being away from your home, your family, several months at a time? What are you working for? Thinking, what are you doing this? Why are you being away from your family to be out there and then coming back home? You know what I mean? Like you're missing birthdays, you're missing graduations, you're missing a lot of things occasionally. If there's a job going on, you can't miss that time. So the mental health, if there is people that need help out there, you need to vent, you need to talk to your brothers and sisters. That's why we have the union. That's why we hold our events to build solidarity, is to help everybody know that you're not in this alone. And if you need somebody to vent to, you should vent to them.
That's part of the union's job. And we are talking to Jacob Evanson. He is business manager. He's secretary. He's treasurer. Gosh, you wear a lot of hats for the Boilermakers Local 627. And you talk about the brotherhood, the sisterhood, the camaraderie. That's among the workers. The other things we've heard from the comments is the companies. Are the companies investing in their workers? Do they value their workers as a resource and making a commensurate investment into their well-being and careers? Do you find that to be true? I mean, a local, in a sense, is a way to be collectively bargaining against the company. So is there some us versus them aspect there, or are the companies valuing the membership?
We have that a little bit on both sides. So with the Boilermakers Union, we have our industrial sector, and then we also have our construction sector. The industrial sector is where we represent members that work in shops and shipyards and stuff. They are the 40-hour week kind of working at a single shop. And then the construction sector is our folks that bounce around from job site to job site. And so on that, like the members there, I mean, they're definitely taking care of each other and trying to watch out for each other. And then we just try to get them and their families involved with some of the stuff that we have, like our solidarity picnics, our events that we schedule, bring them together so we can get to know each other's families as well as not just the members. But for the contractors side of things, like those, the contractors on our construction sector side, I mean, they're multi-employer, they're paying into pensions, they're paying into the annuity, they're paying into the apprenticeship program, and that funding into the apprenticeship program is paying for, our apprentices to come to the hall, paying for all the consumables. I mean, we're filing $75,000 to $100,000 a month when we're training apprentices.
Wow.
And filing that for reimbursement to our apprenticeship program. And that's all money that part of the contractor's bid is going into, is part of that fund going into.
I see what you're saying. So that's not all member dues. Some of that is coming from the corporations.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, so when you hear these, by the way, as we talk through this, how much of this do you get in your day-to-day? Like, we're kind of focusing on an episode where we want to get reality checked and we want to have the conversation, right? And what goes through your mind when you hear some of this pushback that we've already talked about?
Oh, I mean, to me right now, I mean, I've heard so much talk about workforce development. Workforce development this, workforce development that here in Arizona. Like, you drive around the valley, there's so many jobs going on. And for the Boilermakers, like, we're still primarily working in coal-fired power plants. We're still working in gas-fired power plants. And I'm like, I've been trying all the time, this whole time. I mean, these big semiconductor plants, these, data centers, the energy that's needed for data centers, that's all that falls within Boilermaker work. I mean, chemical plants, the chemicals, the air products, the pressure vessels at the manufacturing plants. I mean, that's all Boilermaker work. But I've not had a chance to get any transition from the coal-fired power plants over. And so a lot of our members, because I'm not finding those jobs, we're not getting the contractors are not getting contracts with them. Our members are having to travel to like North Dakota to find work. They're traveling to California. They're traveling to Washington State to the paper mills. I mean, they're all over the place, and it's just been, I mean, that's been probably the hardest part. And then to continue to hear about, we need more workforce, we need more skilled workforce, and I'm like, I could get you 200 people right now if you needed them, and then they're all journeyman level welders and riggers, and we just, how do we do it? Like, you just got to say yes,
I see. So you're seeing a disconnect too between the narrative and what's on boots on the ground.
Between roadblocks between the developers, the contractors to the local workforce. Yeah.
Right. And you would know. You're in the position to know because we're talking to the business manager, secretary, and treasurer of Boilermakers Local 627, Jacob Evanson. Jacob, what do you say to somebody, because this is a reality too, who early in their career, they just get trained, they get whatever certifications they need, they get on a job and they get hurt, okay? Because it can happen, right? And then they can't work because they're hurt. I mean, that's a reality. How common is it? What are the supports? Is somebody really out on their own, or what happens?
Ooh, that's a tough question there. Yeah. I mean, if they get hurt on the job site, it's obviously workman's comp. If they get hurt in on their personal life or something like that, that's a different story. That's a tough one for me. Which is true of most
career paths. Yeah. However, I mean, to be clear.
Yeah, with our construction, with our work, being fit for duty. I mean, you gotta, it's a physical demanding job. Like there's not always on a power plant and stuff like that. Like you're climbing ladders, sometimes you have to climb just iron, just parts, pieces, and they got to build scaffold to get up to high spots. And you might even set up sky climbers or aerial lifts, and you got to be able to get in those lifts and be able to go up into heights. And so if you're finding some of those things difficulty, then it's really hard to accommodate for some of that stuff. So
are there any
tough.
supports that the local or anyone else can help with in those situations where especially when somebody has a path toward getting healthy again?
There probably are some out there. I'm just not quite all the way familiar with them. So, I mean, I know there's some union supports that are out there, like Union Plus and things like that can help with disabilities and things like that. But I'm not off the top of my head right now. I can't think of it.
So they might be able to help you with some of the paperwork you need to do for some of the federal programs and others, state programs. Okay. What about you've been doing this a long time, and from your seat at the union, you see a lot of different careers developing. What would you say are some of the key points of differentiation between somebody who kind of flames out and somebody who actually winds up having a financially and also personally rewarding long-term career in the trades?
I mean, there definitely is. There's the people that kind of say, hey, this isn't for me. This lifestyle is not for me.
Right.
I just had a new baby or whatever, a new kid, and so I can't go travel that. So I'm going to try to utilize my skills a little bit closer to home. Find some work here, utilize that. That's fine. I mean, the main thing is we just ask to always advocate for the Boilermakers. I always remember, stay loyal to the ones that who trained you at the first place, and because we got Boilermakers that all the time, they might go to work for the utility, they might go to work for a company somewhere, and it's just they always remember, hey, I learned my first skills through the Boilermakers Apprenticeship program. I would always recommend somebody to, I mean, not even the Boilermakers, it could be the other trades as well. But we just hope that they just always remember that union start where that they got. And then the ones that stick with it, I mean, there's opportunity. I mean, I've had people come to me like, I can't believe it where I'm at right now. Like I started, some of them are veterans, some of them are just, not knowing what they were going to do out of high school. And that was kind of myself. Like I was taking classes at, like I said, Pima Community College, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I mean, I was taking computer programming, I was whatever, and then took those welding classes and got in, and then it clicked perfect. And that's what's happened for some people. Like it just clicks perfect for them, and then they roll right in, and like the next step, they just keep climbing. They become a foreman, they become a general foreman. The opportunity to become a certified welding inspector, the opportunity to become a safety professional. They could be on the safety side of things, watching out for safety, or even going into the project management side, and then knowing what you want to take when you go to a community college or something else to progress even farther. I mean, they can do that. So it helps out a lot.
So when you say that, I want to make sure that, so we don't get more comments thinking we're not asking the tough questions. But is there like a plateau, a hump you got to get over? Because it seems like in some of my earlier work, people are saying like, give it 5 years, and then you're going to get to a point where you have a network, you have contacts. Mm-hmm. When the one job ends, there are going to be people calling you for the other jobs. And everything gets more stable, and the dust kind of settles on your career a little bit, and it's a little less chaotic, a little less stressful. Are there plateaus and humps and steps and stages that you got to be mentally prepared for at day one,
I would say it's just at the very beginning. I mean, after you start to, exactly like you said, network with other people, get to know other people, exchanging phone numbers with the next person, and then that person, hey, I'm on a job in Indiana, or I'm on a job in California. They need people over here, sign on to the list over here and get on the work. And I mean, so the first plateau is when you very first start getting in. You don't have enough skills. You haven't passed a welding test yet. I mean, usually mechanics are kind of low, or don't quite go to work as often as plate welders, and then plate welders, tube welders go to work a little bit more than plate welders, and it's just the demand of the welders that are out there, and then the mechanics and riggers are there as well. I mean, there's always a need for good riggers and good skilled riggers. So as you're just making your reputation, building your own reputation on the job site, like, it gets easier and easier. And that's, like, I'd say the very first stepping stone of between the 70 and 85% apprentice is probably the hardest one. But then after that, you get to know people from other locals, and you get your networks, exactly like you said.
And how much of that is like just the obvious stuff, doing good work, being punctual, being easy to work with on the job site? I mean, from your position, seeing so many careers from your position in the union, right? You have a perspective on how many different people are managing their careers. What are like the top things that really differentiate?
I mean, absenteeism, I'd say, is the number one. Like, if
you're not showing up, you're
not any good to the construction site. So, like, somebody who's showing up all the time, they're being there. I mean, at the very first levels, I mean, just being there all the time, like anything, showing up. And then you do get your reputation, like I said, and you move forward and you do better. And so, yeah, I'd say showing up, being there, that's the number one that'll get you to the next level at the very beginning.
Well, like I said, your position as the business manager, secretary, and treasurer of Boilermakers Local 627 puts you in a good position. We're talking to Jacob Evanson. And by the way, if you're a Boilermaker, are you duty bound to root for Purdue University sports?
Oh no, I'm a Wildcat.
All right, okay, good. So it is possible.
But the Purdue Boilermakers, I mean, yeah, they were. There was another one, just like the shot of whiskey and a beer. Like the Purdue Boilermakers were somewhat named after us. I mean, you can
you could see it in the mascot.
Their mascot's a big burly dude that's swinging a hammer, and then they got a train and the steam engine, and I mean, that's where we started. So I mean, the Boilermakers, we worked on trains, we worked on the steam locomotives, and during that time,
they used to have literal boilers on those.
Yeah, they were boilers right on the trains, and then those went away, so they switched to diesel locomotives. So we've had to find our way several times, and when they switched to that, we went over to boilers, and that's what we worked on, was power plants and things along those lines, and those got bigger and bigger. Well, now we're in a different era. We are in the era where coal is trying to fade out. Even the utilities aren't even going with coal anymore. So we're trying to find our way to other industries that fit the skill sets that we need, the skill nation, the skills that Boilermakers can be in. And that's pressure vessels, that's chemicals, that's the power needs for data centers, that's the gas plants that are needing to build for reliable energy, and nuclear as well. I mean, we a lot of our members work in the nuclear industry as well.
Well, there's always going to be a need. And speaking of need, what is, I mean, people think of this, you're climbing up the ladder alone. A lot of it is solitary work. But you talk about the brotherhood, the sisterhood, you talk about the union. What is, like, for a modern union, what is the role, and how do you interface with your membership on the daily?
Oh, that's probably that's a tough one. That's not an easy one.
It's a big question, but I mean, there's a certain amount of people out there who have like an anti-union sentiment. They just think it makes everything more expensive. They make it's a pain in the ass. But justify what the unions are doing that is helping careers, helping individuals, and helping trades.
And I mean, for me, it's the pension, right? It's the pension, it's the health care, it's the benefits, it's the annuity. We got vacation pay. With the Boilermakers, I mean, $4 an hour for our area. It's different in all areas. Every hour worked, $4 an hour, it goes to a fund. December 1st, Christmas is around the corner. Somebody might be out of work for a couple weeks around that time. They get that check, $8 to $10 grand in our area. Check on December 1st to go do whatever you want with it. So the benefits is the number one. I mean, it's very top notch for the benefits. The work-wise, I mean, it's good pay rates. I mean, we're making decent money. Some jobs we have per diem, some jobs we don't. But I mean, decent pay. I mean, overtime hours, working a lot, and then in between jobs, you get a little bit of time off. And unfortunately, sometimes we got to hit on unemployment, in between jobs, and it's usually short run. And then it's a lot of change in different contractors that you work for, different areas. You get to kind of, if somebody wants to travel, this is the job for them, because they could be in the Pacific Northwest at one moment. They could be in, Indiana, Florida, Texas, Colorado, Wyoming, Utah, or anywhere they want to go. They just check off that local, because we have a local that covers every part of the country.
And the locals are in communication about those opportunities.
Yes, yeah. We have a job hotline where if a local has exhausted their home working list, so that means all their local hands are out to work, they can put it up on the hotline, and those folks get to go out there and check off that work and say, okay, I'm going to so-and-so, this big job down, 1,000 miles away right now. I'll be back in 6 months.
So when you go up there, I want to check the box on Seattle. I've never been up to the Pacific Northwest. Are you going to have any time while you're there to get a sense of that location?
I mean, most of our jobs they're working overtime, because they're working outages. They're working
they want to get the job done,
to get the job completed. So they're working around the clock, 7 days a week, 10 hours a day. Now, it doesn't mean you have to come home right away or whatever. Yeah. I mean, if you feel like sticking around for another week, going and sightseeing, and then coming back. So, I mean, you're free to do whatever you want to do.
So you can't see. Do you see a difference in the career trajectory of a union member versus a non-union member? And how would you describe the difference in their career paths?
I mean, the non-union member is paying for health care out of their own pocket. I mean, that's so they're making. I hope they're making more money on the check so that they can pay, because they're going to have to pay for money out of their own pocket.
But what is the chances that they're making more money out of their
Probably
pocket?
not. They're probably making about the same amount of wages. Actually, we're probably making more on wages than they are. A lot of the prevailing wage jobs, things along those lines, they will be equal pay. They'll be bidding the work at the same amounts, but like I said, they're going to have to, and then they're going to have to figure out their retirement. So that could be a deduction out of their money that they're making. If they're paying into a 401k, they're going to get a match, but then part of it's going to come out of their own pay as well. So that's just what I see. And all the benefits for the union sides, it's all above the wages. So you got your wages, and then you also have your benefits, your fringe package, which is above the wage package. So
we've talked about a lot. We talked about the pension, the annuity. We've talked about the apprenticeships and training. What about continuing education, and how important is that? Because you're talking about these huge shifts in what the need is, right, out in the marketplace. And you said, well, first they moved away from coal, and now you're looking at nuclear. Now you're looking at supporting the data centers and all that. Does that mean you have some people that, partway through their career, mid-career, might need to retrain in new skills, new tools, how does that work, and do you support that in the union?
We do. I mean, we 100% do. We're trying to figure out ways. I mean, we have project management class where our union offers a 1 week project management class to kind of get people set to they can apply for it. Our journeyman level personnel apply for that project management class, and they can attend that. We have OSHA 500 and 510, which is can get some people into a safety professional position where they can actually go to work for the contractor as a safety person. And I definitely would like to try to see us holding more CWI classes, certified welding inspector classes, to build more inspectors, because our contractors are always asking us, do you guys have any CWIs? Do you have any CWIs? Okay. Well, that's exactly where the demand's at, I think, as well.
So wait a minute. This sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, we were talking at the very top of the show about one of the comments we're getting in the comments section, right, is, oh, it's hard on your body. Oh, man, It's rough. It's rough. Are some of these later career opportunities that maybe take some stress off your the kind of daily beating your body's taking? So if you're a certified welding inspector, a safety, foreman, if you're a project manager, is that a little less taxing on your physical body day to day?
Yeah, no, 100%. That you're right on that. I mean, it's the CWI. I mean, they're still crawling through the boiler on our process. They're still crawling.
It's
through
still
things.
yoga.
But but they are still, but they're not exactly sitting there welding the whole day. So if somebody's knees are starting to get shot or whatever, they might start to think about those types of changes. And I push them all the time. And it's not something that we necessarily hold through the union, but I mean, you can go take an OSHA 500 and 510 class at ASU and it won't take long to get through. So I mean, there's a lot of opportunities to take those types of classes at community colleges and things like that.
And a lot of places that are hiring for project managers, they want people with construction and construction site experience. Mm-hmm. So I mean, that seems like you're well set up for success there as well.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like if you got that first level of experience of like knowing how to fit a piece of iron together and knowing how to bolt one up or welding tubes up or anything along those lines, that first line of knowledge and then moving into project management, I mean, that would be great for somebody.
We are talking to Jacob Evanson. He's the business manager, secretary, and treasurer of Boilermakers Local 627. And from your position in the union, you're there to support and grow your membership. And right now we've been talking very abstract. Do you have any stories about people? Are there any individuals that stand out to you where you feel both the career and the support have really made a difference in their lives?
Oh, I mean, there's countless stories. Yes, I mean there's a lot of folks that I've worked with throughout the years that it's been really great to like see them progress, see them go through the apprenticeship program, and I mean going through some issues, going through family issues, whatever it may be, and then they get through them, and then they and they come back and tell me like, man, I'm so happy I'm stayed with the Boilermakers and I've made this my career. And for one, I got a shout out to Danielle Minigoats. She's one of a good friend of ours. Last year we won a grant through the Build It AZ grant process. And it was to recruit, go out and recruit and increase apprenticeship programs in the state of Arizona. And we won some of the funding, and Danielle, we hired her for about 4 to 5 months, and she's from the Navajo reservation. She went through the apprenticeship program. She's been in for like 17 years now or so, and she's went all the way from graduate apprentice to journeyman to tube welder to foreman to even a general foreman here just recently up there at a Coronado Generation Station for SRP. And then we brought her in last year as this recruiter, and she made it to like 20 career fair events in 2 months, and then helped out with the apprenticeship program and helped out with training. And it was a great program that we got her through. And she's back in the field now. She's working, like I said, in Indiana for one of the power plants and back working on the road. But it was definitely like to see her progress and know her throughout her career for that long. It's been really great. So shout out to Danielle.
Oh, wow. She sounds like she hustles.
Yeah.
Wow.
And she was actually the one that was on the one of the TV shows with me too, that we did some events for.
Yeah. You media prima donnas.
I
yeah.
know.
So
I hope I'm getting good at it.
Yeah. You're doing great here. What about company ownership, entrepreneurship? Do you ever see some of that with your membership where it's like, they use this as an opportunity to start a business? And is that a path that is common or uncommon?
With the Boilermakers, it's a little bit tougher. I mean,
Yeah.
it takes the path to start a Boilermaker business, R stamps, contractor's licensing, things along those lines. I mean, you're working in some big, heavy industrial stuff. So, I mean, it takes a lot of engineering, a lot of, so I don't see it as much, as I do I see like the other trades where they have
like
the HVAC and electrical companies where I think it's easier to start with a smaller commercial company and then, build from there. And so like, we don't really have too many of those, smaller commercial company, like mom and pop shops that that's in our area here in Arizona that start with the Boilermakers. But there are a few in some of the other areas like Chicago and back east where they have like the boilers inside of the big buildings and large high rises and stuff. But not as much of that here with Arizona.
Yeah, it's just a newer infrastructure.
Yeah.
What about, you talk again about helping out the members. Is there any formal mentorship? I mean, you talk about apprenticeship programs, and you talk about being a journeyman. So does that mean that there is somebody who is like taking on an apprentice? Do they shadow them? What does that look like? And how strong is mentorship within the local?
It comes down with our program. Like our apprenticeship program is pretty great. It's 6,000 hours in the field. We have 160 hours of learning management system classes, so the online classes that they have to do prior to them coming to our classes here at the hall.
160 hours is a lot.
Yeah, a lot of online training time, and then they come to the apprenticeship training center, which we have here in Phoenix. We have 24 welding booths. We have rigging tower. We have all the trade tech stuff that we work on. And those apprentices go through a month or 3 weeks worth of training. We pay for their hotel. We pay for their, we give them per diem. We give them travel to come down, cover them for some of their expenses. I mean, they're not getting paid while they're at the training center, but they are getting some expenses covered. And then they go through 3 weeks of training where they're learning welding, blueprint reading, drafting, rigging, all the different processes. Like we teach multiple processes of welding, even into your exotic metals like stainless steel and others. And then just all the different trade tech stuff that we do, like tube installation, stud shooting, tube rolling, just a lot of different things that we run them through. And they got to do that 4 times through their apprenticeship program. But to get to your point, on the job, we have training modules, and they have 21 training modules that as they perform tasks on the job site, the foreman and the job site steward are signing on those and saying, okay, they tied this knot, they tied that knot. They'll check off the knots that they tie, and for instance. And then they also have monthly job reports where they have to get their foreman and their steward to sign off on those reports, and it records their monthly hours to the apprenticeship program. So there's a lot of interaction with the people in the field and the apprentice, knowing that what they're learning and what they're going through.
All right, so it is kind of like the Jedi Master and the Padawan.
It very much is.
You don't have to do the little thing on the back, though, the little braid off the back of your head, though. Let's pivot to what the future of work looks like. I mean, we're talking about, America's 250th birthday coming up here. And, we want more manufacturing to onshore, right? We're dealing with investments, with a tariff regime that's trying to onshore a lot of kinds of work. Do you see the trades and boiler making in general, specifically, but the trades in general, as a growth area? And also, you got to ask in this day and age, do you think it's somewhat AI proof?
Yeah, that's a double.
That's the second half of
part
it
of
right
the question
there, right?
right there. Yeah.
Are the jobs going to be here? Are they going to be growing or diminishing? And then secondly, it's like everyone's worried about AI at this point. I mean, there were careers that for decades we thought were safe.
Mm-hmm.
Go be a coder. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that are like trouble. I mean, construction worker wise, I see a boom. I see a major boom. I mean, the data centers, the need for energy for the data centers, critical mineral mining, the need for domestic mining. I see a lot of that. I mean, lots of trade work with all of those. And then the semiconductor manufacturing here in Arizona has been great for a lot of the unions. I mean, they've all grown substantially. We've kind of been stagnant. I mean, we've been, like I said, trying to get into these other entities, and I mean, we've provided 420 Boilermakers for one of the outages for one of our utilities here in Arizona on the coal-fired power plant up in Farmington, and all those people are laid off. Now we're down to 25 people working. So, I mean, we could provide those 420 welders, riggers, mechanics to other jobs here in Arizona, and we'd be glad to, but it's just that, like I said, that roadblock that we've had before. And so the boom is going to be, what other energy can we use? What, will nuclear be in there? Will more gas plants for us here in Arizona be needed? What's going to happen with more data centers? Are they going to allow more data centers? Is the other
debate
thing,
about that. Yeah,
they're
because
starting
of the
to get to
hum
the water usage, and then that's changed. And so but I mean, we're still in support of them because they are a lot of jobs. I mean, when some of those are being built, that's 4,000 construction workers working. And if there hasn't been that many people working in a certain area in a long time, that's going to be growth for the trades, growth for the unions. For us, I see a lot with the mining and stuff like that happening. There's several mines that are kicking off here in Arizona, and we're going to be part of that. And if there's more out there, if they're seeing shortage of workforce and they want Arizona workers on them, we'd be glad to work, build more workforce up to help support them.
You heard it here. This is the guy to call.
Right here.
Here's the guy. Give him a call.
But I mean, and that's my sales pitch for this
Well, when you talk about mining, I just want to circle on that one thing. Are we talking about mining different materials than in the past?
No, it's just, copper is there. I mean,
Okay, still the copper for here.
There's a mine down south that's doing zinc and what is the other one? Zinc and manganese. I always say it.
Manganese.
I
don't know how to say it.
I always get a little bit off, but it takes me a second to catch it. But those mines, like, we're glad, the processing plants, the acid plants, the tanks that go with it, the chemicals that go with it. Those are all things that we build and we work on. So we're glad to support those. And so, I see that there could be, for Boilermakers, with that, the potential of work is 100% there. And we'd be glad to, move forward and get them set up, get people on those jobs.
So what are you seeing from, if we're going to talk about the future of the jobs, the people coming in for those jobs, young people entering the trades, what are you seeing from them? What's their attitude? Are they ready for it? What surprises you most about 19-year-olds today who are just coming out and just starting that apprenticeship? Are they eager to take on the work? Do they have roadblocks? What are you seeing from this generation that surprises you and excites you, or maybe that you want to give them a kick in the ass?
Well, we did a short, we've done some digital marketing for like the past 6 months, and it has hit crazy for us. So we went from under 100 applicants on our apprenticeship program when Danielle, that I was talking about, came and helped us with the recruiting, and then we did the digital marketing. And we went from under 100 applicants to almost 600, maybe even 650 folks.
Wow.
Who have signed up
Holy
with our
cow.
apprenticeship program, filled the application out, and are waiting now to get into the apprenticeship program. But we can only bring in so many people that we can feed onto the job sites. Otherwise, you can't bring in 1,000 people unless you have 1,000 jobs to put them on. And so
And is there a ratio too between the people who are overseeing the apprentices and whatnot? So you got to get the ratios right.
Yeah, there is. We have a 4-to-1 ratio. So every 5 people on the job site, one of them is an apprentice. So. Okay. And then we also have a helpers program with the Boilermakers. So our helpers program is like a pre-apprentice program, and the pre-apprentice, so they got to go through a little bit of training, and then they can get dispatched at 55% of journeyman rate. And they're just kind of the grunt on the job site. They get to do the housekeeping. They get to do the job site setup, the rollback things, fire watch, hole watch, things along those lines for the project.
Right. So, part of the things that we hear again and again and again on Skilled Nation, right, is there's been a decades-long kind of, I don't want to say propaganda, but there's been the college industrial complex of, right, parents being brainwashed about the only path is the college path. High schools being judged on how many placements into college, right, they get. That's how they get graded. High school counselors have pressure to try to push people to a college path. And because of that, you have parents who are very concerned about when their kids want to say, pursue a skilled trades path. What would you say to those parents?
I'd say that's what my parents thought. So, no, they said, my dad said, you're not becoming a Boilermaker. You're going to go to college. And
he
guess
was
what?
a Boilermaker.
He was a Boilermaker. And so I went to Pima Community College, and like I said, I fished around to multiple different things, and I finally took a TIG welding class and a torch cutting class and a stick welding class. And I was like, man, I like this. This is pretty fun. So then that was the path, So they really do got to say, hey, go try everything and go reach out to the trades, see if these will work for you. Because there are some really good careers out there in construction, and the building trades of Arizona are the part of it. So.
And that's actually too. We should make a point of, as a podcast, we can get listened to anywhere. Mm-hmm. There's Boilermakers locals with similar types of programs, if not identical, but similar, all across the country.
All across the country. Yep.
Okay. So give us the plugs. Where can people find you? Where can people find your organization online? Any of the social platforms, and what's the first step if somebody wants to pursue one of these apprenticeship programs?
Well, our information page, our landing page is info.boilermakers627.org. Our website is www.boilermakers627.org. Our office is off of 2345 West Thomas Road. That is also our training center. So if anybody felt like coming down and checking out the training center, we can give tours anytime. We can meet anytime down there. We're pretty open door. Our phone number is 602-495-1282. And we got a couple extensions there to hit, but just find a way to get a hold of us.
So, Jacob, we end every episode. We talk about rebuilding. We talk about manufacturing. We talk strengthening infrastructure, creating opportunity. And we believe none of that happens without people in the skilled trades. So if someone's listening today and they feel uncertain about their future, they're wondering, is there still a place where hard work and craftsmanship and community and brother and sisterhood can lead to a good life? What do you want them to know?
We've had folks come in that are all ages, all groups, people changing careers, want something different. A lot of the folks that have came to our landing page and things along those lines have all, some of them are not exactly 22 right out of high school. Some of them are 32 looking for a new career. Some of them are getting into their 40s just looking for something different. So, it's all levels are welcome to come and join the trades. It doesn't have to be, change it up if you feel like changing it up.
And try it.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, listen, America depends on those that are building America. So, Jacob, can't thank you enough. Thanks for joining us on Skilled Nation. And thank you for joining us on Skilled Nation. Give this episode a like, give us a follow, subscribe, because here, it's a way of life and a badge of honor.